another weekly coaching call. We are super excited to have a couple guests from the Montessori Institute of North Texas to speak about their new exciting program, which we just found out has a waiting list. So it must be really, really great. But we are excited to welcome Susan Hamilton. She is the Director of Outreach and Community Relations at the Montessori Institute of North Texas. And we have Ramani, who is an amazing primary trainer with 30 years of experience, which is awesome. So we are so happy to welcome both of you here for our coaching call. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deneen.
Yes. Okay. So let's go ahead and just start with an introduction to the program that the certificate course you are offering coming up.
So we are going to offer a Montessori Core Principles Certificate course, and this course is designed to really give an overview of Montessori principles that span the lifespan, from birth all the way through the elderly. Because as Dr. Montessori said, we have one plan, one method, and how it applies in different contexts is what changes. So this course is designed to be totally experiential and to really understand the philosophy, the pedagogy, the history of Montessori, the origins, as well as its applications today in different contexts.
So what is your target audience when you think about participants? So, the people that can take this course, who are they and why is it beneficial to take this course?
Susan, do you want to take that? You can let
Yes, that's a great question, because this course really has a broader constituency than our other certificate courses and, of course, diploma courses with AMI. This is a brand new course, and the group that will be attending and that is on the waiting list, as you mentioned, is a wide range: parents, administrators, principals. We have 4 researchers who are out of a specific university coming in order to further their knowledge and foundation about Montessori, because they've been doing the research now for 3 years and in different planes of development, and they want to come and learn more. We have university professor, board members, staff people from various support roles such as fund development and also internal accounting positions. It's really it was marketed for anyone who supports the work of Dr. Maria Montessori in some institution, whether it's a school, a university, something like that. So we've got a great mix of people.
Mm-hmm. And I imagine when you have that group of people in one room, there's got to be a lot of opportunities to bring so many different voices to the table. So can you speak a little bit about maybe the benefits of bringing so many different community members into a course together? The benefits for Montessori education, for sure, but even just human development and understanding that, because I know, Uma, you had mentioned earlier before this call that there's a heavy emphasis on human development. And of course, there is importance for people to know that in our community. So can you talk a little bit about, what it's like to bring that many different people into a room?
Yes, of course. And as we know, a lot of our learning in any Montessori environment happens as much from our peers as it does from the trainers. And so what we are really creating here is an opportunity for the peer group to also be the learning community. It's really a learning community, and people are coming with such a wide range of experiences and qualifications and backgrounds. And that is, and quite often we work in our areas. And so it's nice to see how we connect up with the other areas and the people who are doing our work, but through other angles. And it's so nice to have a community that comes together so that we see how rounded this whole work is and how many aspects there are to this work that we are doing.
Exactly. One thing I've had the opportunity to do, Deneen, is to interview all the applicants for this course. And an interview is really more of an information exchange, building relationship and answering questions about logistics, etc. And at the same time, I've been starting to see some opportunities for networking even ahead of time. For example, we have one principal who will be attending who has a mathematics background, has been a math teacher, and one of the researchers has very similar background, and they both love the mathematics in Montessori. And so I imagine that there will be some long-term collegial relationships, conversations following this course based on, the way that people are able to converse about their passion in Montessori. The other component of this course is distance learning. So after the 2 weeks of the certificate course, there will be 30 hours of distance learning over the course of 3 months, where we'll have a chance as a cohort to dialogue and learn more from Uma and from Tiffany around Montessori core principles.
Uma, can you move over a little bit closer?
Yes. To each other?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Just like we do in the lunchroom.
Very good.
In fact, our lunch is right in front of us, but you're not seeing that.
We have to get her right?
Okay.
Can you talk a little bit about how this course will support Montessori instructors, both those that are trained and those that are not trained as a Montessorian? What are the benefits of this course being offered to them?
So quite often the way Montessori training is structured now is we train in our little silos. We train for the 0 to 3, we train for the 3 to 6, we train for the 6 to 12, we train to be an adolescent guide, we train to be a Montessori administrator. And it is important that we go from this towards Dr. Montessori's vision of this continuum, her bulb chart that she represents of life from birth through to through all of life, So for people who are trained, it really moves them beyond their little silo of their little window that they know so well, and really begin to appreciate where they fall in this continuum of development. And for people who are not trained, specifically if you're administrators or working in a Montessori institution in some capacity, to be able to talk with authenticity about what our practices are, and to be able to talk with families, to be able to talk with community people who, in a way that you can communicate what exactly we are doing here in our institutions. So, for both the trained people and people who are not trained, there is this opportunity to, one, to be better communicators of what Montessori practice represents, and also there is a practical component that, as for people working in a Montessori environment, in Montessori institutions as administrators or leaders, we are also creating a Montessori prepared environment for a much larger community of families and staff and children. So how do Montessori principles apply in settings like this? It's really focused on understanding the method and in the context, and see how it can apply in so many different contexts.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what those principles are, or is it more for the course?
Well, the principles are the basic, basically, if you look at the Montessori method, what do we mean by the Montessori method? But, Dr. Montessori, if you think about method as just a path, that is a course towards something, it is towards helping each person, each individual realize their human potential more fully. And that requires that we have a prepared environment, which is either provided to us because we are not able to prepare it for ourselves, or that we create for ourselves. So that we need an environment where we can realize our potential more fully, and we need to be engaging in the communities in ways that are be a contributing members of that community, right? Because our individual development always happens in the context of the community. So the understanding of Montessori, we have this phrase that Montessori education is aid to life, but it is really about this, it is that help for the realization of the inner potential in every human being. So that is one of the core principles of this. And how do we achieve it is through this, because our learning happens in the context of the environment. It is the kind of environment that is available for realizing that potential, the kind of resources that's available for realizing that potential. And then it comes to what are the techniques, like how do I need what is needed for, how do I know what is needed? That brings us to the knowledge and understanding of human development through the stages. And so at every stage our needs are different, and so the environment needs to evolve as we grow and develop. So what does that look like, and what are the specific techniques of creating such prepared environments? At least a broad overview of that. What are the principles that guide the setting of those environments? So those are some of those core principles that we are going to touch upon. And then we will go to the application part of it. So what does that mean in our specific roles? What does this look like? How can we take these principles and apply it in the context in which each of us is functioning?
So really it's about how we interact with the world that we're living in, and what we can do in our interactions, and that we are, solid in our core principles of moving forward, interacting with our colleagues, interacting with our parents, interacting with the children at our school, with the community members within, the community we live in. What a beautiful concept. It's something that we definitely need in this world, more awareness around how we carry ourselves and how we interact with those around us. I love that. So, Susan, do you want to talk a little bit about the practicalities of what this looks like? Can you tell me the timeline, the schedule, the commitment? What does that look like for attendees?
Okay. Well, when you're asked about the timeline, the program starts on July 8th for 2 weeks, weekdays. And people are coming all over the country. For our diploma courses, they come from all over the world. This specific course is drawing all over the U.S. right now. And at the end of the 2 weeks, that's when the distance learning begins. And as I mentioned, we do have a waiting list, which is a great message to, I think, our Montessori community here regionally, but also with AMI. In hopes that after this initial certificate course for Montessori core principles, it'll be offered in the future as well. That's my hope, and I'm part of the business end of this specific training institute. But we see great possibility for this to continue more than once a year.
So I'm curious to know, maybe we should talk about this earlier, but where did this realization of this course needing to be offered, where did it stem from? And Uma, I imagine you were also a part of creating this course and the curriculum around it. So can you talk a little bit about how it started, why it's here, and why it's important?
So as Montessorians, as my community, we had been observing, as we do, and to understand that, okay, what is the need that we are seeing? There are schools where we find administrators are put in the leadership position without Montessori background, or there are people who are working, advocating for Montessori at different levels. People want something deeper, a deeper understanding of Montessori. They have parents who want to know a little bit more about Montessori and how it functions. So as we reflected on these aspects, we had a design team of trainers at different levels, and we it took us several months of meetings to really say that, okay, what will a course that will look like, that will create this fundamental, foundational commonality among all these different people who are working, so that we all come to this work around the child with the same perspective. So that was the inspiration and the catalyst for the design of the course. And it was many minds sitting and talking and discussing to really distill the essence, because each of us, again, were looking at it from our window, and when we were all in the same room, we realized that, oh, this is a much bigger thing than, what our understanding was. And we thought we had a pretty deep understanding already. So it was a really, it was a fun project, but it was also deeply satisfying to really take this understanding to a whole new level, and then to articulate how can we bring this and make it accessible to more people in a format that invites people into Montessori, because sometimes as Montessorians it sort of is like a closed black box, so how can we open this up and invite people into this experience?
Yeah, that work is really important. I think as Montessorians, we are so passionate about what we do, and we're really engaged with what we do. But oftentimes, when we meet people who are not as aware of what we do, or even know what Montessori is, if we talk about it in a way that is, we get so passionate, we can isolate people. And the schools that we work with, we help them along that process too, where we're helping them figure out how to clearly articulate what you do without washing it down, but also bridging that gap of knowledge and that gap of understanding and clarity. Because as we know, Montessori, people interact with Montessori in a different way, depending on who they meet or what happens. They have this preconceived idea of Montessori. And so navigating that conversation can be very challenging, as I'm sure.
In fact, what you said made me think of one woman that I interviewed. She has her training and her experience in elementary ed for actually over 15 years. And now she's a director of a public Montessori school across the country, and is responsible for now 0 to 18, whereas her training and background is in elementary. And she's thrilled to have the opportunity to come and not only network with other leaders and principals, etc., also to learn about the full lifespan and to get a greater foundation in Montessori overall foundation than she originally had.
It's a beautiful journey.
That's great.
Yes.
Being able to connect with people that are at different levels. It sounds like she's in a position too. Elementary, the first thing you do, and the third thing.
Exactly.
She's right in the middle.
Yes.
So we have a few more minutes left, ladies. If you want to add anything about the course, any tidbits of information. Again, our member base is over 600. Most of them are Montessori school administrators, some trained, some not. So any last thoughts before we say goodbye?
No.
Okay. Thanks for asking for a final thought, because what's really exciting here at Montessori Institute North Texas is that over a third of our teacher training right now is with people from public school districts, public and charter school districts, because there is such a demand by parents for Montessori, even though many people aren't really clear about what that means when implemented at school. The parents really want some choice and high quality education for their children. And so we are really focused on being able to have public school teachers and principals, board members coming and learning more about Montessori. And actually, my own background, I came from a public charter Montessori, 8 years as a leader, and don't have my diploma, My child was raised in a Montessori environment, and when I became a principal of the school, I was really seeking resources, peers, and training as an administrator. And I'm very excited that now I was actually the first person to apply for this course, although I could have used it several years ago. So it's great for public schools.
And I do want to add that this is a pilot program. This is the first time the certificate course is being offered, but we are planning to offer it in other formats soon, so that people who are not able to be here full time can take it in other formats. But that will be coming up over the course of by the end of the year or early next year. We hope to offer this course in other formats because. Obviously, we are meeting a need of some kind, and the idea is to make it accessible to more people. But the pilot course we needed to implement in this format so that we could learn and refine the content. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, wonderful. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Uma. It's been so great to have a conversation. I'm sure I'm really excited to talk about it. Again, there is a list, unfortunately, but it sounds like, as this is a program, there will be many opportunities in the future for administrators, policyholders, parents, maybe even guides. I would love to take your course.
Yay!
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you. It's great to have you, and looking forward to future conversation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for this opportunity.